it just breaks my heart that, especially for the elderly that are on fixed income, what are they going to do? Why are we not taking care of them?
This is Tami Nelsen. She is a local realtor with Best Choice Realty. Also, as an entrepreneur who is starting, in a lot of ways, you're an entrepreneur, not just in this way, but you started Cowlitz Spotlight, which is, you can explain that to people. And the reason why we're doing the interview today is because she's cool. She's got a lot of stuff going on that's really good. And I think that the people in the community should know what you're doing. And maybe we can just back up a little bit and you can tell people where you're from, because how did you get here? What's the adventure been like for you, Tami? Because you've been all over the place and done all kinds of cool stuff that have led you to this place where you're a realtor in Longview that's doing Cowlitz Spotlight. But how did you get here?
Well, thanks for having me today. And it is an adventure. I was actually born in Washington. And when I was very young, my parents moved me to Alaska. And that's where I grew up, small town, 350 people, graduating class of 5. Always dreamed of getting back to Seattle, want to go back to Seattle.
Back to the
big
city.
Yeah. And then I finally moved. I think I was 20, maybe 19 or 20. And I moved back down. I was like, whoa, we had one paved road. And now I'm looking at like this monstrosity of pavement.
Yeah.
Not that I hadn't left, during that time. Many times I did. But anyhow, then I ended up moving to Portland, and then raised, I already had one child, yes. And then Seaside, Astoria, raised my kids there, and then went through a divorce and wanted away from the rain. All my life, it's never bothered me. In Alaska, it rained and rained and rained. And finally, one day I just woke up and I'm like, I got to get out of the rain a little bit, and just going in my mind, I'm thinking just going to Vancouver or Portland. I know it doesn't rain as much compared to the coast.
Yeah.
So I had built a house out there after my divorce and sold that and just headed for, east. And then I was going to go to Vancouver because I had been working there off and on. And I ended up in Longview. It was just kind of weird. I went to a car dealership and where I had bought my cars before.
Yeah.
And through the gal that I had known, the car dealer lady, and I guess that's what they're called. And anyways, talked with her and stuff and met some other people. And I thought, this is kind of a cool community. It's not huge like Portland and Vancouver seems to be so much bigger. Coming again from Astoria, which is small.
Yeah.
And I thought, I think I like it here. I'm just going to land here for a while. And that was in 2008. And I've been here ever since.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of flipping back and forth between Longview, Kelso, but yeah, now I live in
It's
Kelso.
funny when people talk about this area. Like, our claim to fame is we're an hour away from anything you want to do.
Exactly.
Because you're a realtor, you sell this place to everybody all the time. Your job is to sell Longview and Kelso now. So it's like there's certain things that are attractive to it, but it's not the things that people would think about necessarily. There is this sense of stability here that it's hard to find in a little bit bigger city like Portland or Seattle. And it's different than rural areas too, because there is a sense of we're connected enough and close enough where this is really a city. Mm-hmm. So there are some things about the city that are really beautiful, and I love it here. I've raised 5 kids here, and all of them still want to come back at times. So they've all moved away for whatever reason. Most of it has to do with spouses, but this has always been a place where I think people can find a place to call home. And I don't know how you feel about it, but younger people are starting to come back to Longview.
Yeah.
Maybe you see that in the housing market. Maybe you see that in younger people looking for a place to live, and they can't afford to live in Portland. They can't even afford to live in Vancouver now, but Longview's a possibility.
Doable. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen a lot of that. Even kind of funny that I've seen more younger people wanting to move out into what they call the country,
Yeah.
you know, which is a little rural, but yeah.
They
It's
want
like,
a little land.
yeah, little land. They want some trees around. They don't want to be able to, you know, see in their neighbor's window,
Yeah.
which I think is interesting because, you know, we went through a time when, and there still is, where people just wanted to, you know, live in their little row houses,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and little neighborhoods. And
So as a businesswoman in Longview, what are your values? What's important to you about what really gets you stirred up in life? What do you get? What's the thing that you find yourself gravitating towards more than anything else besides Harleys? Because you are a girl who owns a Harley and rides a Harley.
Yes.
Besides that, which is just interesting in itself, what draws your attention most of the time?
oh, that's such a deep question. Oh gosh, community, you know, community is important to me. And I could say values, which obviously values are important, but I think as far as where I'm at right now in Longview, you know, like I mentioned, it's small, but yet big enough to where it's not a city, but it is a city.
Yeah.
And I just really, I love the connection that's happening out here right now after COVID, since COVID is over and more people are, you know, coming out and they're coming together, and it's so cool.
So
know?
I agree. It's more of a community than a city. What is it that holds the people in Cowlitz County and Longview Kelso together? What's the glue that holds them together, do you think?
Boy, that's a good question. I'm still trying to figure that out, to be honest.
Yeah.
Eh,
I think part of it is that you can be in the city and know a lot of the people you come into contact with every day. It's not big enough where you don't know hardly anybody. And it's not so small. I grew up in Cowlitz County. That's a pretty small city.
Yeah.
You really do know every single person. But it's nice to be able to walk down the street and say hi to somebody you know every single day.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of what draws people here is that connection. I mean, I spend a lot of time in coffee shops, and there isn't a coffee shop I go into that I don't know somebody.
Yeah.
I love that feeling.
Yeah. That's true. Because last night I went to watch a comedy show, and at first I was like, I don't know any of these people, and then I was like, oh, you know. So yeah, it is, and it did. It felt good. It felt really good to actually. I feel like I'm part of this community now because, you know, when I moved here, you know, I started a business and I was known as, you know, Lady Liberty.
Yeah.
Because I
what was it? Tell them what the business was.
The Liberty Tax Service.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that franchise.
You were the one who put the Statue of Liberty suit out on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
That person.
Yeah. And I still have my girlfriend's daughter still calls me, and she's an adult, has 2 children of her own. She still calls me Tami Liberty. I'm like, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But just, you know, coming from there and actually getting deeper, I feel like with real estate, I have actually become, you know, more entwined, so to speak, with the community, with people.
Right.
Maybe because of the job, but also, you know, just getting to know people.
It just seems to be kind of who you are too. You really do like the connections.
Mm-hmm, I do.
Yeah.
And that can be, you know, a good thing and a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bad thing. It just can be more, you know, I just, there's hardly a client that I still don't keep in touch with.
Right.
You know, I mean, there are those that just wanted to buy a house, thank you very much, goodbye, and never wanted nothing else to do with you. Mm-hmm. But most of them, you know, they love that connection, that that touch every so often. I have, like I said, was telling you before we sat down here, one of my clients lives in Woodland, and she calls me, or she texts me, and she'll say, hey, this is going on, what do you think? Kind of thing. So I get that a lot.
Because you have a lot of exposure in the community. It's in your best interest to know the community you're trying to hook people up with houses in, and property and stuff. It's just, that's the way it works. You're doing your job best when you know what's going on around you.
Right.
So let's talk about Cowlitz Spotlight for a little bit. It's a new venture for you.
Yes.
It's a company that is not unique. There are subscriptions available. What would you call it?
Ads. Yeah.
Well, no, with the company itself, you can become a participant in that company.
Where I got.
Yeah, there's a model for it and a template and all that stuff.
Yeah, there is
a franchise.
It's not really a franchise, but they are selling these. It's kind of like a directory is what it started out to be for me. But yes, they are selling them in different communities, and why they sell them is because they've got the websites all created, and they put in all your information. They even go and grab businesses and put them in for you to get you started. But I don't know a whole lot of what they're offering, but we do have weekly meetings that people that are interested can come and check it out.
You don't have to start from the ground up. There's a lot of the backdoor stuff is all in place. Yeah. So, but the whole focus of it is to connect the community together. A lot of businesses and things like that are connected through Cowlitz Spotlight. Tell us a little bit about how Cowlitz Spotlight works and how it's used best in a community like Longview.
Well, I'm really young at it, so for me, like I said, it's like a directory, an online directory. I put in all the businesses that I just go through Facebook, and around town I see a business, I'll grab a business card and I just stick in a free ad for everybody.
Right.
And it's to connect people with businesses and businesses with people, obviously. Most people go to Facebook, Facebook is kind of like the thing. So I grab Facebook URLs from these businesses and stick them in there too, so that people can actually, if they're on Facebook, if they're on Facebook and they go, oh, that's where I'd rather look at them.
Right.
But not only just ads, just a place where you can go say, hey, I want to know how many diners are in Longview, Kelso, whatever. It's also about connection with what's going on. I have an events calendar, so I'm filling that up with everything that I can find that's going on in the community, so people can go, well, when is that bazaar? Remember that? And they can just go there and hopefully it'll be there. It's hard. Some of those things are really hard to find.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. And then I have podcasts on there. I have interviews with some of the businesses. I'm doing more and more of those. And I'm just starting a new thing called The Faces of Cowlitz County.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited because it's going to be, my hopes is that to find people to nominate people of interest, other than just people that we know, oh, so-and-so's the owner of this or the owner of that or the mayor, whatever. Everyday people. Yeah. There are heroes in our community. There are so cool people.
Yeah.
And they could be your neighbor, it could be your first grade teacher, that went off to be in missionary somewhere and has all these wonderful stories to tell, or just cool things like that.
It sounds like you're kind of wanting Cowlitz Spotlight to be a landing place for people on an everyday basis. So they go there to just find out what's going on in the community, who's kind of in the front, in the spotlight. Kind of redundant, but yeah, but it's something that doesn't exist in the digital realm. There are a lot of groups on Facebook groups and on Instagram that you can join. You can become part of that group, and you can find out about what's going on within that group. But The interesting thing, Tami, is you're going out and getting this information without people having to come to you first. And that's something typically people that are doing what you're doing will just wait for people to come to them. Yeah. And you're being pretty aggressive. You're giving people a place on your platform.
I went to Castle Rock one day. I was at a listing or something, and I decided to go into town to, just kind of walk around and see. Because, we drive by things, and we're like, oh, yeah. But when you get out of your car and you start walking and you start really seeing what is there, it opens up a whole new door. And I ended up at the bakery, the Castle Rock Bakery. And this lady, the owner of it, I think she's owned it for about a couple of years, I think she said. And I was talking to her, and she thought I was trying to sell her something, because I was telling her, hey, I own Spotlights, and so excited, and I want to try your baked goods. And so I had, bought a couple donuts and a cup of coffee and stuff. And oh my goodness, I ranted and raved about that donut after I left. I ate it after I left,
You didn't know about the Castle Rock Bakery before you went in there?
No.
They're like famous in this area.
Apparently. But see, no, if I didn't know it, who else knows that?
Yeah.
But so, but just getting out, it was so funny because she was just like, well, no, I'm just not ready to advertise. And I go, oh, no. I just want to give you a free ad. I'm trying to fill up my website so people know where you are, and, everybody is. Yeah. And, but yeah, just getting out and going into different businesses, and people, they are kind of taken back. They're like, no, you're selling me something. No, I'm not. Yeah. Maybe later if you want to more exposure, sure, we'd love to have you come on as, as a sponsor, and, I can do interviews with you and boost your business by taking those blogs, making blogs out of your business for your businesses, pushing interviews and stuff out to your social medias. So that's another way we're helping these businesses also, is finding what platforms they're on and pushing it out to theirs, but also all of mine, because I have Cowlitz Spotlights, and Cowlitz Spotlights has a Facebook page, has Instagram, all these YouTubes, everything that I could get my hands on. And plus then me, Tami Nelsen, as a real estate agent, I have those platforms too.
Right.
So I'm taking, not just with Cowlitz Spotlights and pushing out there, but I'm using my personal and the business. So trying to get them as much exposure as possible.
And it sounds like you're building an empire, but you're not.
No.
When our conversations, I know this about you, you really have a high value for serving people.
Yeah.
You really want to help people be the best that they can do, thrive as much as they can thrive. And so you're doing that with real estate. You're finding people a place to live. You're finding people their dream house. You're helping people get their property sold. And you're also trying to help people stay connected to Spotlight. So everything comes down to service. And sometimes people get a little skeptical when you really want to help them and serve them, but you really are an amazing servant within the community.
Yeah.
And that's part of what I'm saying that to you, is because I think you need to hear that too. You need to know how important it is what you're doing in every area, your personal, your business, your business pursuits, your entrepreneurism. You're doing a great job, Tami.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I get teary. Sorry. Yeah, definitely have a servant's heart. And it's sometimes it, comes back and bites you.
Yeah. It's hard because...
It's okay, because I just keep going.
Yeah. It's hard because people aren't used to that.
Yeah.
And they're, like I said, skeptical of that. But once they get a taste of what it's like to have somebody just care about them and serve them, it's hard to give it up. It's hard to go for anything else. You start seeing that in other people. So you're not only letting them see what you're doing, but you're also opening their eyes to see maybe there's other people in this community that care as much as I do about this stuff.
Yeah.
I find that stuff all the time. I find that there are people like that everywhere. Baristas in this town are famous for being real servants. I mean, they really are serving us.
Yeah.
And they really do care about they want to know our names. They want to know what we do.
Right.
You keep coming back in this place, and why do you order the same drink every time? We have all this other stuff. It's just like, I think having that servant heart is really important. And I'm really glad that you're doing what you're doing, Tami.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you like to see? What would you like to see Longview look like in the future? How can we change and be a better place to live? I know that's huge.
It is huge. Kind of goes along with, just people caring for each other, just having that value of just not just walking by somebody in need or, I just keep going back to this thought of this. I told you earlier about the, client that I had who is in a manufactured home park. And I deal with this all the time. We live in a society that is just gimme, 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 and money hungry. And for these parks, the rent is so astronomically high. I mean, we're talking over $1,000 a month for most of these. And it just breaks my heart because most of the people that live in there are either low income or there are elderly, that are on fixed income and they can't afford. I mean, it's taken away from their medication costs to pay their rent. They're getting evicted because they're not making their rent. And these people, these big companies and stuff that are coming in and buying these manufactured home parks are just raising the rent. I mean, I lived in a manufactured home park. I spent like 9 years ago, before I bought my house. And, it was like $300 and some a month. And I thought, that's a lot, and then it went up to $4 something. Anyways, then I bought my house. And it is a good place for people to begin if they can't afford, a house with land. They can always start in a park, and that's always been a good option. But now it's like not. But getting back to the question, I'm sorry. It just breaks my heart that, especially for the elderly that are on fixed income, what are they going to do? Why are we not taking care of them?
Yeah.
Why are people, what's the word I want to use? These companies that are coming in and they're just gouging these people.
Yeah.
It just breaks.
There's a lot of trauma in the world.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed this, but there's a lot of trauma politically, there's a lot of trauma commercially because things are just so expensive for people. But there's also a lot of relational trauma. A lot of people have broken relationships, and both of us are believers, so this is easy for me to say to you. But there's a lot of trauma from people just not being able to forgive other people and let go of offenses and not take up offenses against the people you disagree with. And so I think that. It just seems to me that there is a future for Longview, Kelso, that it looks really different than what we see right now. Mm-hmm. And most of it will have to do with our connections with each other.
Yes.
I don't know how you heal all those connections necessarily. Yeah. And I don't know how you can't get people to buy something that's going to make those connections happen. But I think one by one, we can make a difference in the community just by doing what you're doing, by caring about people, wanting to help people and serve people and make other people's lives better, not just yourself. Some people in business don't get that. Mm-mm. You'll really be successful in business if your primary objective is to help other people.
Right.
And it sounds old-fashioned and cliche, but maybe it's the hope for our community. Maybe it's the thing that's really going to draw us together, is taking our eyes off ourselves a little bit and put them on other people. Right. And Cowlitz Spotlight can do that.
Yeah. Being grateful. You were saying that sounds cliche, but again, being a believer, it's been written years and years and years, whatever. The Bible says that, we're to give, to be grateful. And I just heard that there was a study done not too long ago about being grateful and how it really helps people. It does. I mean, the people who were in the study were grateful, and the people who weren't grateful, the difference in their lives was like night and day.
Yeah.
And just
It's a great way to live life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can do it every day. And it doesn't cost anything. You don't have to be highly trained. You can just be grateful for what you have.
Yes.
I'm really glad you're doing what you're doing.
Thank
I really want your real estate business to thrive. And I really want Cowlitz Spotlight to thrive because I think it'll be a great place of connection for other people. It's kind of like the same thing we're doing with these interviews with CityServe. This is a place to come to find out who people are.
Right.
Not necessarily what they do and what they're selling, but who they are. And you've really let people know who you are today, Tami. Thank you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate your heart. I appreciate what you're doing, but I appreciate more than that, the heart behind what you're doing. So thank you for being a part of this bigger picture.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'll just.
And how can people connect with you?
Well, they can find me on Facebook, or they can go to Cowlitz County Spotlights.com for that, and I'm on there obviously. Or they can call me up. My number's 360-355-5632, or Tami.bestchoice@gmail.com email. Yeah.
And we'll put those in the notes too, so people can connect you with. I think there are going to be some people who want to talk to you. They might just want to have coffee with you.
Hey,
they may want to get to know
coffee.
you, and they may want to buy a house, and they may want to do an ad on the Spotlight.
Yeah.
But thank you for all that you're doing.
Yeah.
It's really
Thank
a
you.
joy to talk to you today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. It's been great.